with a high of 85. A few more scattered thunderstorms possible tomorrow night and again on Friday. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable on the mighty 1630 KCJJ. Right now, it's 80.
And it is Wednesday. It is the noon hour. That means it is time for Senior Talk, which is brought to you by the Solon American Legion and Senior Benefits. Here is your host, Rex Brandstatter.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Tommy, for the wonderful introduction there on a beautiful, beautiful day here in July in flyover country, the great state, beautiful state of Iowa. The corn's growing and the humidity is hot. Humidity is stifling, but it's a great day in July. Always remember what it's like in the middle of January, my friends. Welcome to Senior Talk. What a great time to have you aboard. A great day to be here with you and have a great day. It's a great day to be a senior, as a matter of fact. Hello, and to each and every one of you, and thank you for taking time out of your busy day and to see what we can cook up here. And as you know, I'll do my very best to bring a lot of ideas that might be important to you, or maybe to your friends or your family or people in your group or your gang and things like that. If they don't pertain to you, maybe it might help someone else, get them to thinking about things we might talk about. So that's the deal. And along the way, we'll come up with some good ideas, maybe to shoot across the bow, and we'll try to do our best to remember some history things. And I got a couple of good things here today, of course. So my name is Rex Brandstatter. I'm 75 years old, real estate broker, and I like to meet and work and talk with seniors, and I do it all the time. I help lots and lots of seniors sell houses and properties. I work with executives of estates, powers of attorney for people. I work with administrators of estates. Bank trust departments call me. Attorneys call me. That's the level I do, and that's the people I prefer to work with. I work with seniors all the time. I meet with seniors at your home or at my office or at a coffee shop. You can bring your adult kids with you or anything like that. We sit down and we talk about your possible living arrangements, whether you want to upsize, get a bigger house. Some seniors do, I have to tell you that. Or maybe get something what we call right size instead of we don't call it downsize so much as right size. Getting a house that really fits your abilities and capabilities in lifestyle in today's world. It may be bigger than you want to have now. It may be smaller. Usually, it's smaller and less challenging as far as steps. A little more easy to work with your washer, dryer in different areas and things like that. So that's what we talk about. And I have a senior line for you at 319-330-5534. 330-5534. Give me a call and not while I'm on the air. However, it's time for you maybe to enjoy your lunch hour and sit down, grab yourself a sandwich and a nice cold root beer, and let's see what we can go online here with today. Well, we know we shot right past the 4th of July, and now summer is in high gear, which I think is absolutely perfect. The mugginess may not be so welcome, but hey, folks, the long days and the hot summer days of Iowa, the corn growing, this is how we do it. So more power to it. Well, it's perfect weather, and it's perfect time of year of summer to see some local attractions. Now, you know, maybe you don't want to spend the whole day going somewhere. Maybe you don't want to spend the whole day doing things, but there are a lot of local things just for fun. Did you know there was a swinging a walkover bridge down in Columbus City or Columbus Junction? You may know that. Did you know that's free? You can pull right up to it and walk across it. It's easy and it's fun and it's free. Have you visited Snake Alley in Burlington? It's a city street, so feel free to take a trip down there and walk up and down. It's pretty cool. There's a million things within the sound of my voice. Have you been to the world's largest truck stop? Well, Rex, we're not a trucker. Go down there. It's a trucker's mall, food court, the whole thing, and right out the back in the next building out next door is the Trucker Museum. That's a really, really nice trucking museum. If you've never been to that museum of air conditioned or heated in the winter and cool in the summer, beautiful trucks, rendition of trucks and models, long delivery trucks and moving vans and all kinds of things. It is very unique, and it's free to get in. They do have a bucket out there for a free will donation. Everybody throws in $5 or $10, and they enjoy themselves. It's really, really good. That's just right down the interstate at Walcott. So those are things you could do. Now, if you can't think of something on your own, we would never tell, my brother and I, we would never tell our dad that we didn't have anything to do in the summer. Because that immediately, don't have anything to do. That immediately led us to edging the sidewalks with the stupid hand. We didn't have a gas-powered thing. Didn't have them then. We had he'd sharpen the blades on this thing. We'd push it back and forth a million times. One of us would push it for 5 or 10 minutes, and the other guy would throw the stuff in the bucket. Terrible job. We just hated it. We had to go paint the fence. We lived on a corner lot with a big wooden fence. It had 3 slats between the posts on 2 sides of a big, huge lot. So you never wanted to say, I'm not busy or I'm bored. You were immediately in business. Well, since we're all in this together, folks, I have 3 job opportunities for you. And you have to take one of them. So you can bet on the come here. You can take the first one if you think it's best for you. Or if you get to the third one, you have to take one and you don't get to go back. So here's the deal. If you don't take number 1, we move to number 2. If you don't take number 2, we move to number 3. This first one is usually a non-paying job if you do it at your own home. But if the neighbor calls you or your friends call you or some other group calls you, you might get paid. So are you willing? Raise your hands if you're willing this afternoon. While I sit in the air-conditioned truck, we'll say, are you willing to work for 3 or 4 hours pulling weeds? Pulling weeds, all right? Around the barn, around the house, down the ditch. Are you willing to pull weeds? Raise your hand. I know you're looking at each other thinking, oh, what the heck, it's hot out there, muggy. I'm not going to pull weeds. Oh, you did that as a kid for you. All right. So if you took that one, I'll pick you up at 1 o'clock and we'll go pull weeds. All right, we'll do that. If you didn't take that one, on to number 2. You've got 2 choices left, but you have to take one. So if you're still in this game, we're going to call it number 2. This is a non-paying job, but if the fulfillment comes in, you're helping the environment. So we're all going to meet, and we're all going to meet at we'll say the 4-H grounds, and we're going to get green vests and buckets and big bags, and we're going to go. The DOT or the county will figure out a roadside. We're going to walk a roadside ditch and pick up, pick up junk, stuff. So that's your next job. You don't get anything for it other than the satisfaction they help pick up the roadway. That's number 2. How many are in on that one? I don't see many people do that. So now, we lost a few, or we got a few on number 1, we got a few on number 2. Number 3, here's number 3. If you're still with me, you have to take this one, and you do get paid for this one. It's a summer job that, all kids are looking for a job, so I want you to sit up straight and line up, and you have to be down, again, at the 4-H grounds, and we'll also pick you up in Corville at Corridge Mall. Ladies and gentlemen, you have just, by process of elimination, we're going to go detassel corn tomorrow. I caught you. You thought you were going to get an easy one. There are no easy things in life. You ought to know that by now. So if you didn't pull weeds, you didn't walk the ditches, you're now detasseling corn. I did that for 2 days, and I told my dad, I said, I'll do anything. I'll go. I probably told him I would work in the yard. Anything would be detasseling corn. So 2 days was enough for old Rex and his buddies. We thought we were going to cut a fat hog somewhere on the rear leg and make a bunch of money detasseling. Well, we died. I mean, it was terrible. It just wasn't our thing. So you kids that grew up on the farm had to do that. My apologies for life to you. So that was the deal. That was our big quiz, and I'm not saying any of you passed. Some of you just sat on your hands, and what you have to do is you have to shovel snow when it's 10 below zero next winter. All right. Well, onward, here we go. I was talking to a senior man, and he told me this. Here's why. This is an interesting story. This is true. I know these folks pretty well. He said, this is in the last couple of weeks. One day, my wife and I were reading the paper in our sunroom. Then I'm sitting there, and I asked her, what are all those things on the shelves on that hutch thing over there on that far wall? What are all those things on the shelves of that hutch thing on the far wall over there? And she said, oh, just keepsakes. Well, he said, do you really like them to this day, or are you just keeping them? So the wife took a look and said, well, just keeping them, I guess. Well, that pretty well labeled it up. We smoked her out. That started a new revolution at our house, he said. We decided to take them to Goodwill because they can resell things and make money for them. We even told our daughter that the hutch was available after we got rid of all the stuff on it, and she picked it up and was really excited. So because Bob, we'll call him, said, what's all that stuff over there? He had no clue. As a man, we don't pay any attention to that stuff. I have to tell you that. And Mom was keeping it as because she always got it somewhere or picked it up at Disneyland or the State Fairs, something like that. So she had it, but it wasn't all that meaningful to her. They not only got rid of the stuff, They called their daughter. She came over and picked up the hutch. So now they've cleared out that. That's just because they said one thing. One thing. Old Bob stuck his head up out of the sand, afraid to do it, but he did it. All right. Now he said this to me. We are actually really into downsizing now. It is actually a good activity for both of us. It all started when I asked about the stuff. It seems, get this, here's the interesting thing. It seems we were both on the same page, but neither one of us wanted to start. Aha! How is that at your house? You don't want to say anything because you figure your wife will club you over the head with a ball bat if you mention the stuff on that shelving back there. And lo and behold, she didn't want to say anything because she figured that you wouldn't help her clean it off, or I told you so, should have got rid of it 10 years ago type of thing. You know, man, we know how we are. In this case, he mentioned it. She agreed. Kaboom! They started the all new revolution at their house, and they're all excited. And I have to tell you, folks, if you've been involved in downsizing, eliminating, I call it, thinning out, I call it, once you get going, it's pretty exhilarating. It sounds crazy to say that, but it actually is. Especially when you have things that you can call your family. If they don't want it, you can call your buddies. I always wanted to have that, whatever it might be. If you ever want to get rid of those 2 fishing poles, give me a call. Well, they don't bring a heck of a lot, so if your son doesn't want them, your family doesn't want them, call your buddy Charlie. Just give him to Charlie. Charge him a beer. Charge him a root beer. Charge him anything. Cup of coffee. It's not about the money. It's just about the fact that you don't have to put up with it anymore. And that's the fun part. That is the neat thing, golden gem on all this deal. It's fun, and get this. You get rid of things. Your house gets bigger. I didn't say you're going to make any money. Did I say you're going to make any money? You could maybe pull in some money. I don't know. It depends on how you do it. But all in all, the real winner is when you get rid of things. Aha, good for you. A senior lady called to tell me this. She said, I sat right straight up in bed one night when I realized that my mom had a will and I don't. I said, what? She said, I sat right straight up in bed one night when I realized that my mom has a will, but I don't. Off to the attorney I went. I have one now, too. She realized that she had talked to her mother. She's a senior, by the way, both of them here. I talked to her mother, and her mother has the plans and things like that. We'll call Grandma has one, and my mom doesn't have one. And she said, my God, what would something would happen to me? Well, if something would happen to you and you don't have a will, folks, it's bring on the attorneys even more than they really want to be involved on. So get with it. Now, there's a million scenarios on this. You and your husband, Bob and Mary, are rightfully wedded, and Mary leaves us, passes away. They had a will. Everything that Mary had goes to Bob. That's normal, or vice versa. But now, does Bob have a will? Probably not. Now, Bob needs to go see the attorney and get a will. It just kind of cascades and descends down. But you have to keep up with it. I had a friend of mine, a family member, moved to the state of Washington. And I said, you have a house, you have a job, you have an income, you have a vehicle. I said, do you have a will? Yeah, I made him get a will, or he knew that. He has a will in Iowa. I said, now that you live in the state of Washington, you have to go there. I have to go get a new will? I said, well, yeah, you live in Washington. The Iowa will's no good. Oh. So off he went to see an attorney in Washington. There you go, folks. If your kids are living out of state and they're really actually living there, tell them if they got 2, 3 grandkids live there, and they both your son-in-law or daughter or daughter-in-law's son living out of state, tell them to go see an attorney and get with it, because things happen, for God's sake. A local business owner tells me this. Our business just has not been the same since COVID. And I've heard this 8 million times, and it's 100% true. Not as many customers day to day. Help is hard to find, harder to keep. And even though they work here, they may not show up for a day or two. Oh, I took Monday off. Bob, Jimmy, where were you on Tuesday? Oh, I was busy. You didn't come to work. I got busy. Well, that's the work ethic of today's youth. In some cases, in many cases, a lot of cases, quote, it ain't what it used to be. It's not the way you grew up, not the way I grew up. Sickness is one thing, but you call in, for God's sakes. Oh, where were you? I got busy. I forgot to come in. Okay, you want to fire him so bad you can't see straight, but you don't have anybody else to take little lazy Jimmy's place. So that's what's going on in businesses all over town, not just Iowa City, Coralville, Johnson County, all over the country. That's why seniors are so valuable to local businesses. Number one, you may or may not have to work. You might just want something to do. Number two, they only have to show you something maybe once or maybe twice. Number three, you're going to show up. Number four, you're not going to complain them to death. You're going to do your job and shut up, and they don't have to have a supervisor stand there every 5 minutes. That's why you see so many seniors working. Sometimes they need to work, have to work. Many, many times they're there because they want something to do, and they work at jobs that are not overly stressful usually, and the employers love seniors. So if you're looking for a job, you can just about go stand on the corner and say, I'm a senior, I'm a good worker, and I want to work for your company. You get picked up by 10 companies, and 2 o'clock, by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you probably have 10 jobs. So look out. So that's the story. And this man was telling the absolute truth that since COVID, lots and lots of things have changed. A lot of businesses have had to leave. Businesses went down. The customers did not come back. Restaurants are having, all restaurants, bars and restaurants, with exceptions, of course, are feeling the pain. The business isn't there. They've had to raise prices, and people complain about the prices. It's a never-ending deal, and a lot of it's caused by that stupid, stinking, nasty old COVID that was sent upon us, in my opinion. So we'll see. There's really no fix in sight at the present time. Not much you can do about it if you own a business. Change your ways, change your schedule, blah, blah, blah. That's what happens. So it's not fun. A senior man was laughing when he told me his grandson, a recent June 2025 high school graduate, has a job. He has a job. He was all excited. He says, we are all happy for him. It says it's a job in a trade, and he started 2 weeks ago. So he graduated from high school the last week here in Eastern Iowa, last week in May, I think he said. And he said he sat on his butt in his room for 2 weeks in his downstairs where the kids all hang around. And we told him this isn't going to persist. Go get a job. He says, I have one, I think. Might start Monday. Well, he did. And here's the kicker. And so this is this man's grandson. Well, his son is the dad there. He said the dad told Grandpa here in this room. He said, here's the best part. He said he has to be on the job site at 06:30. 06:30. So you're non-military people, that's 6:30 in the morning. He said he goes from being a lazy bum in high school. He was on the basketball team, but not really driven to do things. He gets a job. He's been hanging around the basement. Now he's at 6:30 in the morning, and he's on his third week of work, and he likes it. They are all relieved. They figured he'd be down trying to get free meals or something. No, not really, a young kid. He said this is culture shock to this young guy. 6:30 in the morning. He likes it, and he's told us his boss advised him that he does a good job and he will do just fine, and that they'll train him to do this. It's a real specialty work. It's not for the timid. It involves climbing and things like that. And so off he goes every morning, and away we go. So the family, and we'll call the kid Junior. Junior's all, quote, excited. They talked to him many times about joining the military. Go down and enlist in Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Merchant Marines, Coast Guard, whatever you want to do. Let's get going. Let's get something. You can come out of there with with training, pay for your education down the road. And so far, now he's only, 17, 18. So far he hasn't done that, but if you know, enlistments are way up, so maybe kids are starting to buy into that program. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Good for them. Good for the young man who got a job, and it was the first one he applied for, and he got it. He said he didn't want to work at Hardee's. He didn't want to work at McDonald's, anything like that. He said, I want to work somewhere where I can kind of learn some things. Well, good for him. That's what we wanted him to do. Good for him. Well, for seniors, if you were going to go to the senior center, if you were to go to a senior facility and they offered things, here's what you're going to learn. And they offered language classes. Well, I want to learn a language. The number one language that seniors want to learn is Spanish. Oh, that's never changed. Number two is Chinese. Huh? And number three is French. Well, those are the ones that are in high school. And get this, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The fifth on the list is Portuguese. Now, folks, don't start laughing. I actually signed up and took Portuguese in college. I have a year of Portuguese under my belt at the University of Iowa. I had to take a language, which I didn't know until my 5th year of college. So there I was, trapped. And the line to sign up at the old field house to sign up for Spanish was about 5 miles long. And the lady at the Portuguese desk, I didn't know anything about it at the time, she kind of looked at me and it kind of gave me like, well, take your index finger and make, come here, come here, come here. So I went over there and she said, have you had foreign language in high school? I said, no. She said, well, all those kids in that line probably have. I said, yeah, you're probably right. And she said, they grade on the curve, so the curve's going to be high, so you might not make it. If you come to sign up for Portuguese, and I'm looking around, there's nobody else there. There's two professors in there. She said, if you come to class, and you're guaranteed 3 skips. You take your 3 skips if you want. We don't care. If you come to class and make an effort, I guarantee you'll pass. Well, folks, I'm a 5th-year senior. I needed that pass. If I didn't pass, I'm coming back to summer school or whatever it might be. I didn't want that. I said, where do I sign? She said, do you have any friends? I said, I do. So I called 2 and didn't have cell phones, so I talked to them the next day or maybe downtown at a root beer place. I signed. 3 more guys showed up. All 4 of us took Portuguese. It turned out pretty good. She was in a couple, they were both nice young ladies. Schaefer Hall and the wooden floors over there, creaky old place. So I took Portuguese. Not bad at all. If you were to go down to that same senior place and you wanted to play some cards, you want to learn a card game. Here's the card games that people want to play. Number 1 is bridge. Well, I don't know. On my preponderance, as far as my information, preponderance of bridge players are women. So I'm just the majority. The number 2 game is cribbage, and I know how to play cribbage. And number 3 is pinochle, and number 4 is euchre. Well, I don't know about pinochle. I played it. Euchre is a good old game. Cribbage, when I was a kid on New Year's or Christmas Day and Thanksgiving, Grandma and Grandpa and my dad and aunts and uncles, they all played cribbage, and they would not let me play because I did not know how to play. They said you learn cribbage best by watching and listening. So I did for 3 or 4 years, and finally my dad said, come here, I want to teach you how to play cribbage. Do you remember anything? And I did. And so we play cribbage all the time. I haven't, on my fishing trip coming up in October, we play cribbage all the time. Played in college all the time for different prizes and, different things. Who could date this girl? If you won cribbage, you had to have a date on Thursday night and Friday night. We had a lot of fun with our cribbage games and challenges. It's a great, great game, thinking game. Guess what? If you were to go down there again and you said, I want to sign up for a tour, I want to sign up for an activity. Number 1 is to take a bus tour to a casino, to a holiday event, and that might be down to the Ozarks to see the shows down there, or to Nashville type of thing, or to a sporting event. Maybe you're going to go to a Cubs game type of thing. There's a cruise on there and shopping, all right? Those are things that people are signing up, people are doing. You don't just have to sit home and do nothing. If you said, I want to learn something, I want to go become a learned in something, what are people signing up for? Number 1 is computer classes. Now, this could be Computer 101, 102, Windows 102, 103. Brain fitness. Now, probably no reason for most of us to go and worry about brain fitness at our age, okay? And then foreign languages and listen to speakers. And I've always found listening to reasonable speakers. I did just a couple weeks ago. I was a speaker a couple weeks ago. And if you went down there at the senior center or a group and they had a health and wellness program, the number 1 thing you want to learn about is, this is for seniors, your blood pressure. And arthritis, help, and exercise, glucose and sugar and diabetes. That's what people are doing. That's what people are signing up for. That's what people want to learn. Doesn't that sound crazy? But folks, we're senior. All those things can be expanded upon, can be learned upon, and things like that. But those are things. So if you go to a local senior independent living place and you say, well, we might think about that, you will find that they have activity. And you should ask them, if you go there, call a senior independent living place, tell them you want to come for a tour. Always go at a time when they're serving lunch, because you will get a free lunch, guarantee it. Absolutely 100% guaranteed. If you go there at 9 in the morning, you'll get a tour and say, thank you very much, here's a brochure. If you go 11 or 11:30, they'll say, well, you want to stay for lunch? Why? We hadn't thought about it. Well, sure you had. That's why I'm sending you over there. Take advantage of their free lunch. Go at 1 o'clock, say, is there any chance we could come early? Yeah, why don't you come for lunch, and then we'll give you a tour at 1 o'clock. That'll work out great. Use your brain, folks. You just went to that class I told you not to take for the brain, because you've already got one. You'll get a free lunch. That's the way you really need to do this, okay? And then while you take that free lunch, you could ask them about activities. Do you ever go to a Cubs game? Do you ever go to State Fair with a bus? Do you ever go to the county fair with a bus? Do you ever go to the Hoover Library on a bus? Have you been to Hoover Library? They're redoing a lot, spending millions of dollars over there, so I don't know their hours, but that's 9 miles away. If you have usually adults going over there coming to visit, that's a nice place to go. Absolutely. Well, the big thing in Coralville, the big thing around town, eastern Iowa, even around this area, has been the loss of our River Power Restaurant. What's it going to be? What's happening? It's all boarded up. I don't see any activity over there. Well, there are a lot of rumors going around and things like that. Well, I'm going to bring you the definitive answer. I've got the scoop. I've got the good. Well, what happened out there, folks, is this. In 18, of course, I have to tell it from the history side of it first, before you have to listen to my spiel before I spill the bean. How's that sound? What do they call that? Bait and switch or sucker punch? Or I'm the barker for the carnival here. So what happened in 1838, 1839? You know, Iowa was, this goes way back. Stick with me here. Iowa was a territory, and the president sent out his man, Robert Lucas, made him the governor of the territory of Iowa, because Iowa wasn't a state yet. And where did he end up? He ended up at Plum Grove over off Kirkwood Avenue, and with his wife, Friendly. Robert Lucas and his wife, Friendly. Ever heard of Friendly Avenue in Iowa City? Well, that's named after his wife, Friendly Lucas. Absolutely true. So they came out here, and those guys, along with John Ronalds, Ronald Street, John Ralston Creek, Chauncey Swan, they empowered them. Lucas empowered those guys to find a place for the next capital of Iowa. And they went down and they drove a stake in the ground where what we know as the old capital is today. That's how they got started. So they built the capital. Iowa became a state in when? 1846. You got it. University of Iowa started when? 1848. You got it. So there we were, off and running. We had the State University of Iowa. It wasn't the university, called the State Iowa College or something like that back then. And we had on the Pentecrest there, they starting to build what we know as the old Capitol. There were like 17 buildings on the old Capitol. Well, before that, so that was all that. But these same guys, 10 years earlier in 1842, 1843, decided that we needed a grist mill. We needed a flour mill. So what they needed to do, that it had to be hydro because we didn't have electricity. Had to be hydro, so they were looking for a good place, and they went out and they surveyed the Iowa River. There were no dams on it, the Burlington Street Dam, the Coralville Dam, nothing, no reservoir, none of that. And they came, they say, we need a place where the river comes around the bend, slows down, has a good hard bottom, good rocky, hopefully a rock bottom, and we can build a dam there and build this hydro dam. Well, they found a place. It's right there in Coralville, right on 5th Street, right where the Iowa River Park Restaurant were. Okay, right there. That particular dam. Now it's been remodeled, been rebuilt. It was wooden when they built it back. They built a dam there in 1843, and then they got to thinking, well, we're going to have this grist mill. We're going to have the biggest and best grist mill, and we want the farmers to come from all over eastern Iowa, we'll say. It wasn't them, but the eastern Iowa Territory. Maybe they come from across the river, the Mississippi. Maybe they might come up from the Missouri Territory and Minnesota, and they did. They brought in a huge, huge grindstone. Okay, well, we don't know anything about running a flour mill or a grist mill. So what are we going to do? So Governor Lucas said, well, why don't I bring out a friend of mine from Ohio? He's into all this stuff. So we called him, sent a note by horseback. And his buddy came out here, and his name was Ezekiel Clark. Ezekiel Clark came out here with his wife, Mary, and they took over, and they bought in. And there were a lot of investors, and they invested by, I don't know, debentures. Some people gave money, but you could go as low as $25, but you had to work there and things like that. All right, that's how it got started. So they built a dam, and off they went. And by 1853, the dam was doing okay. There's going to be a flour mill out there to take advantage of the river. So now we've got the grist mill, and the farmers were coming, and the business was pretty good. But business could get better. And so they said Ezekiel Clark was a man way beyond running the dam, all right? He was big buddies with a couple guys who became the president. He took a couple presidential appointees. Yeah, a guy right in Corville. He's buried up at, where's he buried up at, in Iowa City, at Memory Garden, not Memory Garden, buried up at the north end of town, Oakland. He's buried up there. Been to his grave several times. He brought out his brother-in-law. Guy by the name of Sam Kirkwood. And Sam Kirkwood came out here and took over operation and ownership with Ezekiel Clark of the dam. He ran it. Samuel Kirkwood. Think Kirkwood Avenue, think Kirkwood Community College, think Kirkwood Aging for the Elderly, blah, blah, blah. That's the guy. Think Governor Kirkwood. He got elected governor of Iowa during the Civil War. And when which Iowa sent more soldiers per capita than any state in the Union, when they couldn't pay him, the state of Iowa couldn't pay the bankroll, he paid them out of his profits from the Corville Dam. True story. His house is still on Kirkwood Avenue, by the way. He's buried up at Oakland Cemetery. Not very far from Ezekiel Clark, his buddy. They don't even know they're buried close to each other. They are. So they ran the mill, and he got elected to the Iowa State Senate in 1855. Where was the Capitol in 1855? Well, it was at the old Capitol. He rode his horse and/or walked down there. All right. So that's the background there. So now we had the restaurant. In 1903, it became the light power company took over. Electricity got here. That was a major deal. The city of Corville sold it in 1971 for $1. And to the Johnson County Conservation Commission, and the restaurant came in there after they took out all the steel and the windings of all the turbines and sold them on the market. And in 1977, it became a restaurant. And it became and went. It was the Blue Moon, all kinds of different things. But it was always our River Power restaurant overlooking the river. Weddings, anniversaries, special events, great food, good service, great ambiance, good views, until a year and a half ago when whatever business arrangements didn't work out one way or the other. I don't know. So that's what happened. So it's been sitting there for now. More than a year and a half after its closure, a University of Iowa alumnus is heading the effort to revive the landmark building along the scenic bend of the Iowa River. Mark Kaufman, who graduated the University of Iowa, Bachelor of Science in 1986, purchased the property last fall, and the red brick building is slated for historic renovations this year, with hopes of reopening in the fall of 2026. Aha! Originally a power plant dating to the early 1900s, the repurposed industrial building became one of the area's most recognizable dining destinations when the Iowa River Power Restaurant opened in 1977. Known for its sweeping views of the river, along with its excellent steaks and seafood and Sunday brunch, the restaurant remained a local favorite until its closure in 2023. I'm committed, this is Mark Kaufman, I'm committed to doing it right and making the building what it wants to be. He's a Chicago area resident and founder and executive chairman of Athletico Physical Therapy. You walk through it, you see the bones. It's such a cool, solid building. All right. As of this past spring of 2025, Kaufman was in discussions with potential tenant, a restaurant group that will shape the menu and overall concept. The team has also brought in on Dubuque-based companies like Stickley Morton Architects, Gronin and Heritage Works for design and renovation work, and pursue historic designation. Wow! They're going to make a historic building. Kaufman says it will be up to the new restaurant group on whether the Iowa River Power name will remain, but he hopes to preserve the character of the former restaurant while introducing a refreshed vision. First and foremost, this is a restaurant that will have great views of the river and an industrial feel, but modernized. I like that. I think it's going to be fantastic. I'm happy and appreciative that I have the chance and the opportunity to do something for the community of which I care a lot about. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's out of the Iowa Magazine, the Iowa Alumni Magazine. There you heard it probably last right here on Senior Talk, but that lays it out. That's what it's going to be. You don't have to guess. They're working down there. I've seen guys with hard hats in there, engineers and architects and things like that, working on the budget and all kinds of things like that. Design takes time, and then kaboom, they're going to go. So one day, God willing, and the river don't rise, one day I'll meet you down there. Maybe we'll have a root beer back at the far corner for all those people who listen to Senior Talk. I'm happy to do that. Wouldn't that be fun? I've been in there a million times. When we were kids, we'd fish down there. There was an inlet, if you remember way back, where you park now. That was part of what they call the raceway. There was water there. And, there was a fish ladder. You could go down in there. And, oh, brother, the old guys who worked there, all of them were my friends' buddies. Their dads worked there. It was very noisy in there. They let us fish off the back wall, throw rocks into the river, all those things. I grew up fishing right there on the wall, swimming way down below, never above, but way down below, way down below, away from the dam. Don't get near that dam in the water right below it at all. What a wonderful thing. What a wonderful amenity for your friends from Chicago to come here and eat there, your friends from Des Moines. People would have a date and come up here from Burlington on their anniversary, all kinds of things. It sounds like it's going to come back, and it sounds like it's going to happen. And so I'm excited to think that through. I'm sure the city of Corver will be down there. They're going to make it a historic building, which will it could bring some more class to it. We shall see. With that, that's a challenge sometimes. But that's what's going to happen at the Iowa River Power Restaurant. I am excited. So I want you to remember this. As seniors, we never know how about our tenure here on the planet Earth. We don't know about tomorrow. No guarantees were ever granted to anyone. So knowing all that, as seniors, we know that we're headed down the backstretch. So I advise the following mindset for your consideration. And that is this: do all you can while you can. Or do whatever you can while you can. Whatever that might be. If all you can do is to make it to the front porch or sit in the lawn chair, go do it. If you could march up and down I have friends down at the Philmont Boy Scout reservation down in New Mexico. I have good friends of mine on a fishing trip up in the Northwoods in Minnesota, Ely, Minnesota area. A couple old guys canoeing. Whatever it is, you can do it the American way. So thank you all veterans for their service and all those serving today. And thank all of you for listening, and keep everything going. It's the middle of summer. Get out there, folks, and have some fun. Thanks for listening to Senior Talk. This is Rex Brandstatter saying we'll see you next time. So long.
Hi, this is Tiffany at Senior Benefits.